All right. Good morning. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas. I'm going to give this about 1 minute and then we will get started with our presentation today.
各位家长，早上好，晚上好，很开心大家今天参加我们的这场活动哈，我们稍微等一下哈，看有些家长还在持续的加入到我们的这个Zoom 会议当中，然后我们大概1分钟以后就可以开始。
And so we will actually get started right now. So welcome to InAmerica Education. Fall is around the corner, or actually better yet, based on the weather, it is actually here. And so with summer coming to an end and with the fall comes the application season, which has officially kicked off for most of our private schools. And so today we present InAmerica Education's application kickoff for the fall 2024 school year.
很高兴呢又跟各位家长见面哈，相信关注我们的家长也知道，我们会不定期的进行就是各项关于这个美国私立学校的一些讲座哈。那么我们今天讲座的内容呢是就是来去聊一下马上要开始的新的申请季哈，因为现在已经是8月中旬了。我们呢是在纽约，可能这边的天气呢已经开始早晚就变得比较凉了哈，所以已经感觉到秋季的这样的一个这个氛围了，所以呢也是学生马上要开始申请的这个季节了哈。那么包括很多私立学校其实已经在8月份已经开始了他们的这个新的一个招生季的一个这个开始，所以呢我们也是希望通过今天的讲座呢跟大家分享一下新的招生季的一些具体的一个信息。
All right, so in terms of our agenda today, we are going to be focusing on 5 main items. Our first one will be an introduction to InAmerica Education, our consultants, and who we are overall. Then from there, we're going to dive a little bit deeper and speak a little bit into our approach, our process, and our general philosophy and how we help all of our clients. And then from there, while you're really here, you want to hear more about the application kickoff for fall 2024. So we will be discussing a few trends and some of our own market insight based on last admission season that we'll be sharing with you all. And then, of course, numbers do matter. And so we'll speak a little bit as to our matriculation of some of our clients over the past 5 years before concluding and leading to a formal Q&A at the very end.
那么今天我们讲座的一个流程呢，就是我们首先呢会介绍一下我们的团队，然后呢，因为有些家长可能是第一次来听我们的一个讲座哈，所以的话呢，可能对我们团队或者对我们公司不是特别熟悉，我们会先分享一下我们公司和团队的一些情况那么当然呢，我们会跟大家分享一下对于我们团队来讲，我们是如何去帮助学生来申请学校的，我们的这样的一个流程，还有我们的一个理念那么第3项呢，我们就会讲一下，那么新的这个申请季，也就是从秋季开始哈，这个下一年入学的这样的一个申请季的话呢，有一些可能我们根据去年或者是这段时间我们跟学校的一个沟通和交流哈，那么有哪些趋势，还有哪些需要注意的地方当然在最后呢，我会分享一下我们过去几年我们这个团队的一个帮助的学生申请到学校的一个情况。那么在讲座的最后呢，我们会留一些时间哈，给家长来进行沟通和交流来问问题。
All right. And then just 2 rules of thumb really quickly. One, I am going to ask that, please, stay muted throughout this presentation, just because that might mess with the flow of the presentation. And then, of course, lastly, if you do have any questions, we do have the chat box here. Feel free to ask your questions away. We'll be able to answer them mostly toward the official end of this presentation.
那么在讲座的期间呢，也是希望参加的家长呢，尽量是把您这边就是静音哈，因为老师这边的话呢， 他也是在分享的过程当中也是有一个这个流畅度哈，我们希望能够保持这样的流畅度。然后呢，如果您有任何问题的话呢，可以先把问题放在我们的这个聊天室里面啊，或者呢，您可以记录下来哈，在我们最后的这个问答环节的时候呢，我们会有时间来去帮您去解答这些问题。
All right. So with that, let's get started. And how we are going to start is, of course, with our two lovely faces. So my name is Nicholas. I am a consultant here at InAmerica Education in the K through 12 boarding school admissions team. A little bit about me. So I am a native New Yorker. You might wonder where I am right now. This is New York City in the background. In terms of just how I got into this role, and once again, a little bit about me, I have been involved in private education my whole entire life, whether having worked at private schools and having attended only private schools from kindergarten all the way until college. And so after graduating high school, I went to Columbia University in New York City, where I focused and majored in sociology and education. I really had a passion for helping students. And so when it was my time to really leave and graduate from Columbia, I figured the best way of moving forward with this educational dream is to go and to teach. So I went to a school in Connecticut and I taught kindergarten for a little bit, which for me, it was teaching at the most fundamental and foundational level. After teaching kindergarten for a bit, I realized, listen, maybe the classroom isn't going to be for me long-term, but I definitely see myself sticking through education all the way throughout my career. And that led me into the beautiful world of admissions. I've served at many different schools in various roles as an assistant director of admissions and as an associate director of admissions before making this switch over into consulting. And so I have been here at InAmerica Education, and it is my goal to really help families navigate this whole entire private school process. And then, of course, to find a successful outcome and best fit for your family.
OK，那我们的同事 Nicholas 老师呢，也是先做了一下自我介绍哈。那么 Nicholas 呢，是我们这个 K12的一位资深的顾问老师。刚刚他也提到了哈，他是土生土长的纽约人。那么我们公司呢，也是在纽约。大家从 Nicholas 老师的背景也能看到哈，这是我们办公室的一个窗外的一个景色哈。那么他本人呢，是从小一直是从幼儿园一直到这个。大学哈都是私立学校那么他是毕业于哥伦比亚大学哈，然后呢是教育和社会学的专业，那么大家也能看得出来，他对教育也是非常有热情的一位老师他之前呢在私立学校当过老师，然后后面呢主要是在做招生的一些工作哈，包括也在这个纽约的一些私立学校做过不同的招生的这个工作，那么其中呢也包括就是作为私立学校的招生副主任所以呢他自己对于私立学校的了解也是非常的多然后呢也是非常有热情的一位老师，也是希望后面在新的家庭加入的我们有机会也是跟他一起合作。OK，
All right.
Nicholas, you want me to maybe just introduce myself a little bit?
Yep.
Sure. 那么我呢是 Cindy 哈，可能经常参加我们讲座的家长对我是比较熟悉的哈。那么我这边呢是现在我们 K12部门的一个主管哈。那么我也是在 K12这个行业呢有10多年的这个经验了哈。那么之前呢一直是在国内工作哈，在北京，然后我也是在7年以前来到纽约这边来留学，然后在这边工作。也是非常期待呢，能够有机会跟大家一起探讨孩子的一个教育的规划当然呢，今天呢参加活动的就是我们2位哈，当然我们 K12团队还有其他的老师，大家在我们的网站上能看到各位老师的一些简介。OK。
All right. Perfect. So that is who you are seeing today. I always like to make the joke. This was a different picture of me. I've grown the beard ever since, but in general, this is who is running the show today. And so the way I want to begin here is focusing a little bit on our mission and speciality. I am not going to read this for all of you, but in general, I want to just highlight a few terms that you are going to see here in our mission. to helping our clients achieve admissions to the top private and boarding schools. We are committed to helping all families find the best fit. And what that means is using our network, using our expertise in order to help families find out what is going to be the best fit for them, what will be the school that will fit not only the family, but the child. It is our goal to make sure that we are working with the family from beginning all the way until the very end. And that means going through the educational process with them in terms of what schools match with what they're looking for, all the way to the very end when it comes down to the outcome. Then in general, you'll see this last phrase here I want to focus on, which is our wide-ranging clientele, pretty much going alongside our outstanding consultants, forms a cross-disciplinary global team that makes us one of the best-known consulting companies worldwide. With a decade of expertise and experience, we have really established ourselves. We have established our name. We are making sure that families know who we are, and our reputation is using our very personalized and tailored approach in order to help families find their way into these top private and boarding schools.
Sure. 那么对于我们公司来讲哈，就是这边是一个关于公司的一些介绍。那么我们公司呢是成立于2013年哈，是当时是成立于这个费城，也是由宾大的校友创建的哈。那么我们现在公司呢是位于纽约曼哈顿的中城，然后我们基本上的业务范围呢当然后面我们可能还会再详细的讲哈。那么我们会涉及到就是K12，其实可能会更低哈，就是包括我们的这个幼儿园的申请，一直到大学这样的一个阶段哈，都是我们在就是提供的一个服务。那么我们的客户呢，当然也是比较多元化的哈，包括我们除了这个来自于美国当地的家庭，那么还有来自于国内的，然后香港、像新加坡还有包括像迪拜欧洲的一些国家，所以我们整个的这个客户的群体也是比较多元化，当然我们团队也是比较多元化哈，包括这个就是美国当地的，还有我们双语的老师，对，所以呢，我们其实作为我们公司来讲，我们还是非常希望通过我们的专业然后呢，我们跟学校之间的这样建立起来的这种合作哈，能够去帮助到家庭寻找到最适合孩子的教育资源，这个呢也是我们公司的一个使命。
All right. And then before we move on to the next slide, as you saw, wide-ranging clientele, it is our goal here at InAmerica Education to be helping clients from all over. So this means that there is both a domestic focus. If, of course, you are a family and you live in New York City, guess what? We are here. Our headquarters are in Midtown. We can work with you. If you are in the neighboring state in New Jersey, we're close by. We're just a bridge over. You can come on down. But we also work with families all over the United States, all the way within InAmerica, as the name implies. But then, of course, there's an international focus as well, making sure that we are reaching out and spanning the global network. And that is our main goal and mission.
对，刚刚 Nicholas 老师也说哈，就是实际上我们的这个客户都是比较多元化的。刚刚讲了哈，除了本地的这个家庭以外哈，我们来自海外的，就是欧洲亚洲的国家的家庭都非常非常的多。然后呢，当然我们在申请学校的时候，虽然我们公司是在纽约，但实际上我们并不是主要专注于纽约的学校，全美的学校我们都在申请哈，包括可能有些家长也会问说，哎，那你们是不是也申请其他国家的？其实我们也有像之前的话呢，我们有包括跟学生申请有就英国的学校加拿大的学校哈，但主要还是在就是美国但是呢不会就是在这个纽约这个地区哈，全美的学校我们都是可以申请的。
All right, so in terms of our service and focus, and as you can see through every slide, we're just diving a little bit deeper into who we are. So InAmerica Education consists of different divisions and departments. Of course, today being the application kickoff for fall 2024, this is a K through 12 focused webinar. However, in terms of our team, pre-K through grade 12 private school application is one of our main services. This is what really stands us apart from other educational companies. You'll see other consulting companies, they may start with your students at middle school. Maybe they focus a little bit more on the upper school grades because they have that tailored approach. For us, we go all of the way through. So from as young as nursery, believe it or not, pre-K all the way to high school. So we are really spanning all of the grades from pre-K and even younger all the way through grade 12, ensuring that we're working with every single family, regardless of their need, regardless of that grade, and making sure that we're going all the way through. So pre-K through grade 12 is just one of our services within our division. And then, of course, we have college planning and application. Truthfully, in terms of consulting agencies, it is impressive that we are able to scope all the way from pre-K all the way to college. Once again, going back to that anecdote from before, a lot of companies will either focus in on college and say, you know what, that is our specialty, or you know what, we're only grade 5 through grade 12. Our team encompasses all of those grades from beginning to end. And so we also offer college, graduate planning, and application help. And so whether that's undergraduate, graduate, or postgraduate applications through the US, Canada, or even Europe, our team is able to help. We also have enrichment services that will help with summer school programs, internships, and research, which I won't get too much into today. But in general, we are all encompassing. I always like to say a one-stop shop is where you can get all of your needs done within InAmerica.
那么刚刚 Nicholas 老师也介绍了一下 InAmerica 我们公司的一个服务的一些这个提供的服务哈。那么当然我们两位今天过来呢，跟大家肯定主要还是聊幼儿园到12年级这个阶段的一个申请哈。那么刚才我们也提到了，其实我们公司可能就是比较特别的，就是我们提供的这个申请的这个年龄段哈，其实不光是集中在高中这个阶段。那我们像包括特别是这几年哈，我们有很多很小的小朋友，可能有的小朋友才1岁就开始已经在规划自己的这个未来，家长已经开始为孩子规划未来的这个申请了哈。所以呢，我们是其实就是根据家庭的一个需求哈，帮家庭解决这样的一个教育的规划和需求。所以呢，我们从这种比较低龄的幼儿园一直到高中这个呢都是我们团队就是提供的这样的一个服务。那当然呢，除了这个幼儿园到高中的申请呢，我们呢还有这个大学和就是本科研究生的这样的一个申请。当然呢，除此以外呢，我们还有一些这种短期项目的一些申请和服务。当然今天呢，我们的重点可能就不会去主要集中在我们这个幼儿园到高中的这个部分哈。但是呢 InAmerica 呢是作为一个可以说是一站式服务的一个教育咨询公司哈。那么任何的家庭有任何的这样的教育方面的需求我们都是会为家长这个来去解决他们的这样的一个这个长期的一个规划的这样的一个公司。
All right. So before we move on, I just want to focus one more part into our service, especially in terms of pre-K through grade 12 private school applications and college. Something that we offer that is pretty unique is both standard planning as well as long-term planning in our services. So in terms of standard planning or even short-term planning, as I might call it in quotes, that just means that we will help your family go for that exact admission cycle. So as we keep on saying, fall 2024, if you were to onboard and sign with us now, that will most likely be a standard planning, meaning that you are just looking for applications for next fall start. However, there are some families that might come to us saying, hey, we want to prepare for that moment, maybe 1 to 2 years or even 3 years out. And so oftentimes that might be for a kindergarten program. Oftentimes that may be starting your child in at 4th grade when you want them to apply for 6th grade, which is a bigger entry year. So that's something that is also unique about our service. So at the end of the day, it really does not matter when you begin with us. We're able to have different tailored plans that will help your family achieve your goals, whether that's long-term, 5 years, 4 years from now, or maybe as soon as next year.
那么对于我们的这个服务呢，其实从申请的这个时间这个点来去看的话呢，我们可以分为2类哈。那么一类呢就是常规的申请，这个常规申请呢，也就是说咱们可能在申请季提前1点是，就是可能如果现在你们来开始申请哈，选择我们来去申请的话呢，那从这个时间点呢，其实就是马上就要开始申请了。那么这个呢算是申请的常规的一个申请服务，或者有些家长可能还没做好决定，那么我们可能稍微再晚几个月开始，那可能就是相对来说呢是在这个申请季开始的这样的一个常规的一个申请的一个服务。当然前面我也提到了哈，其实我们也有很多家长是来找到我们是做这个长期规划的因为私立学校的确是他们的这个竞争的一个难度还是比较大的。当然呢有些家长也不光是为了这个申请哈，很多时候他也希望有专业的这个顾问老师能够帮他们在孩子的就是这样的一个教育的一个这个教育规划成长的这个路上呢，能够有更好更专业的一些建议和指导。所以也有很多家庭是提前就是2到3年甚至更久的，像我们也有一些家庭就是提前4、5年来找到我们去帮孩子去做这样的一个规划啊。所以整体上来讲呢，我们提供的服务应该还是非常定制化的，是根据家庭的需求和具体的情况，孩子的具体情况来帮你们去定制的。
All right. So moving forward, we're now going to focus a little bit more into our process and approach. A word that you are going to constantly hear me say today is personalization and tailoring. That is a part of our ethos. That's a part of our work ethic. That's a part of who we are. We make sure that we are matching every student and family with the school of best fit. What I mean by that is when a family comes in and they want to work with us, they have now onboarded. We are evaluating every single application. We are evaluating the whole entire profile of that candidate once they are coming into our care. In terms of that evaluation, that normally consists of a few different steps. The first one is getting to know the child. Something that I will often do is schedule a meeting, talk to the student about their strengths, weaknesses. I'm able to assess some of their interviewing skills and how they can communicate, as well as English proficiency. I can also hear that sort of drive and ambition that is fueling them. What are they looking for in their next school? What do they like? What are their thoughts on school in the first place? So that is a conversation that I am already establishing and personalizing for every single student once they are coming into my sort of caseload and care. And then from there, in terms of evaluating, I will also review all of the grades. We all know how important student transcripts and grades are for these private schools, and therefore it's just as important for us as a consultant agency to be reviewing the exact strengths and weaknesses of that student. And so what I will often do is look into those 3 years of grades. Whatever grades that I do have at that moment, I will be able to review the transcripts and see exactly in terms of the grades. Is there consistency? Do we need to set higher goals? So that is something that I am often doing to make sure that the student is aware of what's going on, that we are goal setting, but once again, just trying to achieve that best outcome.
那么对于我们的就是在申请的过程当中，我们的一些方式方法，或者说我们的一些理念哈，刚刚Nicholas 老师也先分享了第1点哈，其实也就是说非常的个性化。那么因为每一个家庭和学生来寻求这个申请的这个服务，其实他们的情况哈都是不一样的。那么包括学生的性格呀，他的这个兴趣爱好。那么他自己想要在新的学校寻找哪些东西是学术也好，还是课外活动也好，或者任何他觉得就是对他非常重要的一些资源那么当然呢，还有呢孩子的这个成绩 和各方面的情况都是不一样的。所以对于我们团队老师来讲呢，非常重要的就是我们在这个过程当中要充分的了解到学生还有家庭的需求，然后呢去帮他去做这个最个性化的一个服务的一个规划那么最终呢选择那么最适合他的学校所以呢这是一个其中我们觉得就对于我们的服务来讲非常重要的一个方式方法。
All right. And then continuing along with just evaluating and assessing every single profile, not only are we looking at transcripts and just how the student's able to communicate, we're looking at essay writing, we're often looking at recommendations as well. All of these steps are a part of what a private school needs. And so it is our job as consultants to review all the information that we're able to see and then make a personalized plan. On top of that, we also look into what a student is doing from an activity standpoint. A lot of these schools are looking for well-rounded students. While academics does mean a lot, and that is something I do want to emphasize here, academics are important, so are some of those extracurricular activities. How is that child able to extend themselves outside the classroom? How are they able to show that they are balanced? They're able to navigate both academics, but also the social side that a school will offer. So we are doing an initial in-depth analysis of the complete applicant profile that is very comprehensive. The last point that I want to mention in terms of personalization is that we have the expertise and knowledge of the schools that your family will be looking into. Whether that is boarding school, whether that is day school, we have the knowledge, we have the expertise. As someone who has worked in day schools, as someone who has even attended boarding schools on different visits, I know a good deal as to what your family might be looking for and what those schools will be able to bring and offer to your family. So that is something that we are always looking into and just personalizing the exact strategy for your family once you do come in and join our team.
那么刚刚提到了就是我们的团队会对学生各方面的一个情况进行一个全面的分析和了解。那么当然呢，在申请的过程当中，包括涉及到的文书学校会提供的推荐信呢，那其实老师都是会根据所有的这些资料去帮助孩子来去分析，然后做各方面的一个规划和安排呢，最终呢就是我们希望包括还有如何去展示孩子的这样的一个就是课外活动的一个参与来去把一个非常全面发展的一个孩子这样的一个形象来呈现给学校因为这个呢对于美国的私立学校来讲还是他们非常希望看到的。那么另外呢就是我们对于学校这方面的这个了解是非常非常多的其实就是大家可能很多时候听到一些非常耳熟能详的一些这个学校但其实可能仅限于知道说这学校很好，那它是不是很匹配你们家孩子的情况？这个其实是里面还是有非常大的一些区别的。那么我们是通过这种非常个性化的这样的一个就是这样的一个方式吧，然后帮助到孩子去选择最适合他的学校。那么最终呢，咱们能够获得一个最好的一个申请的一个结果。
All right. So one of my favorite parts about our process and approach is the aspect of character building and development. I think when you look at a lot of consulting agencies, sometimes they may view your family or even your student as, all right, this is going to be a professional relationship, in which case we are getting your child into a school. My job is to help you through, and that is that once we achieve the outcome. And while, of course, that does lead to success, here at InAmerica, we are viewing the application process as opportunities to grow, to develop their character, and just strengthen their overall awareness of self. That is why we are all in education for a reason. At the end of the day, while yes, our job is to help from an admissions lens, from an admissions standpoint, we're also here to make sure that the child is learning about who they are and how they want to grow moving forward. Throughout our process, we are doing a lot of goal setting. We are doing a lot of expectations that we want to set to make sure that they are achieving. Most importantly, through the whole entire interview preparation process, which is a part of our service, we will make sure that not only is the child aware of what questions will be asked in the interview, what to expect when they are sitting down with someone from admissions, we're also making sure that they are growing their confidence, that they are growing their maturity. How poised are they? How are they able to communicate with others? And of course, that leadership skills. So we're making sure that they are developing their overall character. And once again, when they come in with us, we're able to see where they are once they come in that initial complete applicant profile. The goal is by the time that they are leaving us and going to their private school, that not only have we seen the growth, but that the family and the child, most importantly, has seen how they have developed through that whole entire process.
那么当然就是在整个的申请过程当中，我们去完成这些申请当中需要的资料，当然是非常重要的哈。但是对于我们团队来讲，我们觉得在这个过程当中，其实帮助的孩子去更多的成长，其实也是非常重要的一个部分哈。那么帮助学生在这个过程当中能够更好的就是增加对自己的认知增加自己的这样的一个自信心。就拿这个就是这个面试的这个例子来去这个去说哈。那么当然我们是希望在这个过程当中那么不但是说帮助孩子去熟悉这个面试的环节和问题，还有包括应对的这样的一个方案哈。那么更多的是当孩子在面试的时候，他跟这个招生官坐在一起去分享自己的故事的时候，他真的能够把他身上的就是说就是这种性格这种自信，然后包括这种沟通的技能能够非常好的展示给学校所以呢这个并不是说我们去完成这个申请的流程就结束了，那更多的时候我们是期待，也是我们的一个目标，是在这个过程当中真正的帮助到孩子有更多的一个成长。那么这个也是很多的家庭在跟我们合作以后孩子和家庭也是对我们的一个反馈，就是孩子真的在这个过程当中学习了很多，不光是这些流程，更多的是自身的一个提升。所以这个部分呢也是我们的这样的一个方式方法中非常重要的能够帮助到学生和家庭的一个部分。
As you are seeing today, I am going to breeze through this, but we have an experienced bilingual team. So we pride ourselves in having the ability to assist families in both Chinese and English. Even if you're a consultant like me, I only speak English, guess what? I'm able to have translators on my team to help bridge that language gap. So we offer translation, we offer English support, which is always great for families to hear, knowing that they can come in with whatever sort of English proficiency that they might be having, but we can still find ways of communication. And then that's a perfect segue into just talking about our communication with the family. As I said earlier, we are there from the very beginning to the end. So once a family onboards with us, we are doing the school list creation together. We are doing weekly meetings together. We are doing the school selection together. And then we're even going further and beyond to the very end. We are there to celebrate the family in their successes. We're able to uplift them throughout any sort of failures or setbacks. We are there and we see every single part of the process. I always like to say that this is more than just a professional relationship. This is also mentorship. And to an extent, it's also relationship building. Your consultant, for better or for worse, will become, your best friend because they will be doing a lot of speaking, a lot of communicating with your family. And then, as I said even earlier, if you are happy with that sort of consultation service from K through 12, and then eventually your child is going on and you want to apply in the college, we have that college consultant team that can bridge the gap and continue moving forward with your family. So it is really communication every step of the way here.
那么另外两项刚刚另外两项关于我们的这样的一个服务的方式方法刚刚Nicholas 老师也提到了那么大家也能看得到，我们团队呢是就是除了美国的顾问老师，我们有中文，就是说中文和英语的 顾问老师哈。那么基本上呢，每一个学生的主导老师都是美国的老师啊，除非当然有个别的情况，可能孩子的英文基础要弱一些哈，那当然这是另外的一个方案，但大部分的这个学生呢，都是由我们美国的这个老师作为主导老师去提供，就是来去指导学生完成所有的申请环节的。当然，有些因为就特别是低龄的。这个申请的过程当中，家长的参与也是非常重要的。那如果有家长的英文的水平可能就是不是特别特别的好，可能在沟通方面会有一些这样的一个就是这个问题。那么我们也会有就是双语的老师哈，帮你们在整个的申请的过程当中帮你们进行翻译哈，像包括有些家庭去学校去面试，那么都是我们老师陪着去帮着去翻译的哈。那么这个呢也是非常重要的。那么另外呢，就是我们一直还是想强调的，就是我们跟每个家庭的这样的一个提供服务哈，那可能并不是只是一个是类似只是一个合作关系，我觉得更多可能上升为一种就是这种导师，然后通过就是团队老师去可以作为一个导师的一个这个层面的一个这样的一个关系哈，去为孩子提供这样的一个申请。所以就是从最开始我们开始这个开展这个服务，一直到学生进入到学校哈，在这个过程当中的每一步，可以说我们的团队都是会参与在其中的哈。那么所以呢，就是也能看得出来，我们的老师还是都是对教育啊都是非常有热情的，也是作为就是说能够帮助的学生，能够帮助的家庭，是我们的就是工作成就一个重要的一个来源哈。所以呢这几点呢，我觉得是我们的团队和服务可能会比较强调的这样的一种理念吧。
Alrighty, so talking about the application kickoff for fall 2024 requires us to think a little bit into what happened in fall 2022 to fall 2023 in terms of that admissions year. What we have gathered here at InAmerica Education after doing some reflection is there are a few points of emphasis that we want to look at for this year, and also something that your family should know moving forward. I'm going to start with the end here with this tip that's very important. It is never too early to begin the application season. The earlier you start, the more prepared you, your family will be, as well as your consultant. What we'll say is that August, this time, is a great time to really start your onboarding, to start moving forward with the application process. This is going to give your family ample time to learn more about the schools that you want to look into. It gives you more time to tour them, to do that research, to make sure you're finding schools of the best fit. Through that preparation, through that time in this month, you're able to move forward and have adequate time in order to make a strategic plan in terms of test taking, in terms of making your own interview schedule, in terms of writing those essays. So the earlier you start, the better. And that's something we always like to emphasize. Onboarding with us on October is possible, and it's something that we deal with and we handle successfully. But obviously, there is more optimism and overall just positivity radiating from the family, radiating from the whole entire team, especially in the beginning of an admission season, as opposed to midway or late. So as soon as you know as a family that you want to make the leap to a private school, that is your time to give us a phone call and to make sure that we're setting up that initial consultation so we can talk about how to move forward as soon as possible.
那么接下来呢，Nicholas 老师就跟大家分享一下，就是咱们新的这样的一个申请季的一些展望和我们的一些就是见解吧。那么当然呢，就是在分享这些信息以前呢，可能我们也是想再次去强调哈，在申请的过程当中，就是真的是越早开始。那么我觉得对于家庭和学生来讲，肯定是越有利的哈。当然，也有一些家庭那已经在申请季开始了，包括10月份呢来找到我们说要帮助申请。那当然，我们的团队 也都没有问题，也都会能够帮助的家庭很好的完成这个申请的工作啊，最终达到咱们想要去达成的一个目标。但的确是呢，早申请呢，早准备早开始呢，对于学生哈，在准备像包括更好的去了解学校然后呢就是这个时间是更多那么我觉得整个的准备也是更充分的，包括从刚才说到的了解学校呀，然后我们做这个面试的培训呀，准备这些考试呀，然后文书这些工作所以呢这些工作其实听上去感觉好像就一句话就说完，但实际上内容还是非常多的。那么就是我觉得，就如果家庭已经去有这样的一个想法或者不确定的情况下呢，可以呢，就是说跟我们团队来约一个时间，我们的老师呢也会帮您去做一些评估给你们一些建议所以呢，就是说还是建议越早开始呢，时间会越充裕，那么各方面的准备工作肯定会做得更好这个也是我们对于每个家庭的一个建议。
All right. So the first point here, which says increase emphasis on standardized testing and scores. So as a lot of families do know, last year, the year before, a lot of schools have transitioned over into being test optional. They said, okay, standardized testing is not the most important metric to us. Therefore, we are going to do away with it. We'll make it up to the family to decide if they want to send those test scores. If you choose not to, that is on you. It will hold no bearing against your overall admission decision. As we enter fall 2024 for this upcoming season, we've spoken to a lot of schools. The trends are that they are going back to making standardized testing a requirement. So if your student is going to be applying to 9th grade this year, for almost all of the competitive schools that used to be test optional, expect that they will be now making that a requirement. That also means that if your child has not been preparing for any sort of standardized testing, whether that is the ISEE or the SSAT, they should be preparing now at this point to make sure that they are ready to go, that they know what is the expectation of that assessment, and to understand that those scores will hold a bearing on their future admission decisions. The reason for this is because there are more applications. There's more applications every single year. For a lot of schools, they need another benchmark, another vetting system in terms of taking out some students out of that application pool. One of the best ways, unfortunately, most efficient ways to doing this is through making standardized testing a requirement. Now we can look at scores, we can look at verbal, we can look at reading comprehension and quantitative skills and say, okay, these students have done well, maybe they'll move forward into the next round of admissions, as opposed to students that maybe did not score as well. For them, as a school, they can say, I'm not sure if that's going to align with our academic rigor. So that is something that you want to definitely consider when thinking about this year in terms of standardized testing.
那么就是其中一个就是我们跟很多学校沟通完然后也了解到哈，那么新的一个申请季呢，可能在这个标化这个部分哈，很多学校就是因为在疫情期间，可能很多学校说标化考试你可以是可选项哈，那你提不提交都可以，或者有的学校都说你不用提交，但是根据我们的一些这个学校的沟通来看呢，应该是新的一季哈。这个很多学校就会重新要求SSAT 或者 ISE 这样的一个标化成绩特别对于寄宿学校这边，所以呢，就是这点上因为申请的人比较多，那么特别是国际学生这个部分，那学校就是还是需要有除了这个成绩单和面试以外呢，他们希望就是再增加一项，可以说就是能够去衡量这个学生的一个标准的一个文件哈。所以呢，这个呢是在新的申请季是肯定会发生的那么现在 SAT 考试也已经8月1号就开始就是注册了所以有家长如果你们还没有去规划我建议还是要尽早去规划去安排相应的考试就应该国内的这个考场也是就是比较紧张所以这个呢可能要做好一个规划。
After speaking with many schools last year, this is going to apply into this upcoming season. They are placing more value on the interview and finding out more about the student persona. The reason being is, when we look back into our history, when we look back into the past 3 years, a lot of families, a lot of children had to deal with the frustrations and the difficulties of the pandemic. Through the pandemic, that has led to more growth, that's led to more changes, that's led to more challenges and even achievements. Therefore, there has been a larger storyline, a larger character arc for many of the students who are applying to schools. Therefore, for these private schools, they want to make sure that they are getting students who will be able to communicate, who will be able to share aspects of their overall persona and general personality. So, as the interview, we all know it's a very holistic a part of the application. I will say little by little every year, it's becoming a bit more weighted because at the end of the day, this is a first impression of the child. It is the first opportunity for the student to see exactly what they may be getting coming the fall. And so for them, being able to hear the child speak about their stories gives them a pretty good idea as to if there is alignment, if this school is the best fit. I'll also mention here point number 3, which says there's going to be more applications. Every single year, we've been seeing these top 20 schools, top 50 schools. We've been getting more applications in the last year. What do more applications mean? More applications normally mean lower acceptance rates. It also means higher selectivity and just general more competition. So in general, what we want families to understand is at these top 20 schools, for example, past admission rates were anywhere between 15% and even a little bit lower. Next year, there's going to be even more applications. There are more families. There are definitely more international families looking to put their kids into private school. As a result, that is only going to make it more selective. So this is just another expectation to think about and consider that in order to get into a private school, especially at competitive points like 9th grade, at 6th grade, they're becoming harder and harder and harder. And so that's why it all stems down to the first tip, which I said is start early.
对，那么当然呢，就是对于学生面试这个部分，我觉得也是会有越来越多的这个权重哈，在整个申请的过程当中，那么因为申请的就是人数的确是每年都是，就是对于很多学校来讲，每年都是在增长的一个状态。那么更多的这个竞争哈，所以呢，就是说大家可能在申请的时候都拿到很好的就是书面的一些材料，对吧？我们的成绩单、我们的标化、我们的推荐信，但除此以外呢，就是怎么去对于学校来讲，怎么去选择这样的一个学生，他觉得是适合我们学校的这个整个的就是社区的，对吧？那他非常会看重这个面试，所以这个面试呢就会变成越来越重要。那么是能够帮助到孩子脱颖而出，在这个过程当中去展示孩子的性格啊，展示你是谁，对吧？那为什么学校要录取你，非常重要的一个环节。所以呢，其实这个竞争的这样的一个激烈程度和这个面试的这个重视的这样的一个这个更多的这个比重，其实是有直接的一个关系的。
All right. And the last point here is that there will just be more focused attention towards how well do you know the schools. Once again, these schools are getting so many applications. They want to see who really likes the school for what they offer, who has put in the time, energy, and effort into realizing why is this school the school of your dreams or the best fit. Therefore, in terms of expectations, I will say make sure your family is touring the school if you're able to. Attend a virtual admissions event. There are so many events on the school's website. There are so many resources. You want to definitely use those. The expectation is by going to these admissions events, you're able to pinpoint exact reasons, even niche reasons, why you want to go to that school. Why does your child like that school? And how will that school contribute to your family's overall success? So that is something that you definitely want to take into account as well.
那么另外一点呢，对于学校这个学校的这个了解也是应该是非常非常重要的哈。那么因为就是咱们在申请学校的时候，你不能不是说因为这个学校可能比较有名气，我们才去申请。那你真的是对每个学校要有更深入的一个了解。那你要知道说，那这个学校的为什么就是我们的孩子，或者对于孩子或家庭来讲，我们希望我们的小孩在这个学校去读书，对吧？那么另外呢，就是说，除了学术，可能还有哪些点你觉得是更匹配孩子的需求和你们家庭长期的教育目标的？所以这些呢，是你一定是要通过更好的了解学校，你才能够真的就是在这个面试，在这个文书的过程当中，能够去比较好的跟学校就是建立起这样的一个连接或者这样的一个匹配的。所以呢，就是说在整个申请的过程当中，包括有家庭，如果说能有机会哈，现在这个特别是国际的家庭，中美之间的航班现在也越来越多，有机会的话呢，还是一定要去来实地参观一下学校。当然，如果说这个比较难实现，那也是一些线上的一些活动，一定是要就经常去参加，多去参加，多了解学校。所以这些点呢是非常重要的。
All right. So in terms of kicking off the application season, there are a couple of stages that we normally look into just as we're preparing for an upcoming season. Stage one is really where we're in right now, which is onboarding, seeing if you want to move forward with our consulting agency. So if you decide that you want to onboard, that consists of a few steps. Matching you with a consultant. Maybe you'll get me, in which case, my style is very energetic, animated, but we're going to be moving forward very effectively and efficiently. Maybe you get my colleague. In general, we'll match you with a consultant that normally fits your child and making sure that you can move forward together as a team. As I said earlier, we'll also have a getting to know you session. So I want to be able to know who is your child, what are their strengths and weaknesses, and also talking with your family. Most importantly, asking, what are you looking for in a school? By me asking that, I'm able to process, reflect, and then match you with the school of the best fit. We're also going to be creating an initial school list and doing some school research based off of all the information that you tell me, based off of my comprehensive overview of your child's profile. I'll be able to send you a detailed school list that matches exactly what you should be looking for. And then we can talk in more depth into how we want to move forward. And then in general, just creating an overall fall plan that's going to involve strategy. Let's say you would have onboarded with us like in the beginning of the summer, that would have been a summer plan. And that would have consisted of summer school tours, maybe a little bit more of test prep, etc. But over the fall, what that will consist of is fall admissions events and how we should schedule those. What do we think is our ideal interview timeline, as well as potential standardized testing, mock tests, as well as formal test practice.
对，那么整个的就是接下来新的申请季呢，可能呢在这个就是从我们的流程上来讲，可能会分为几个阶段和步骤哈。那么当然呢，第一个阶段呢，就是我们进行就是说开展这个申请的一个工作哈。那么包括去选择适合你们家庭的这个顾问团队啊，然后呢开始更好的了解你们的家庭，然后呢做相应的像这种学校访校啊，这个标化考试的一些这个安排啊规划呀，那么开始初步的这个学校的这个研究和确定学校的名单哈。当然有很多家庭因为去年就是已经签约我们了，可能在整个暑期我们基本上这些工作都已经完成了，但是对于现在正在考虑的家庭来讲呢，现在也是不晚的。那么现在开始去准备这样的一个工作，咱们的这个时间还是很充足的。
All right, in terms of stage two, that normally consists of diving a little bit deeper into the actual application. That normally means interview and essay preparation. So for all these schools, your child and your family will need to do formal interviews, whether that's virtual or whether that's in person. And then, of course, there are a lot of essays that these schools require, not only to, of course, just send you an assignment, but also to, one, assess your child's writing, and two, to make sure that what you say in the interview also aligns with what you write. So in general, the expectation is we will begin weekly trainings that will be trainings with your consultant as well as your child. They'll be doing weekly meetings in order to establish a routine and a habit to make sure that they are prepared for interview training. Parents, you'll have sessions as well to make sure that you understand exactly what is required of you. And then all happening in the same time, we'll be practicing essay formatting, revising, brainstorming, and making sure that we are carefully creating cohesive and polished essays is the goal. We also want to definitely use a creative lens as well. You always probably hear about the term cookie cutter. We want to make sure that our essays are really standing out. And that's why the earlier you start, the more time you will have to brainstorm the topic, to brainstorm the story you feel is most appropriate, and then to write on that. We also have professional editing as well. So feel free, if your family needs to write in Chinese, we can translate it. And then from there, we can go on ahead and edit it to make sure that it is the best story and the best essay that your family is proud of.
那么可能第二个阶段比较重要的就是在这个面试和文书这个部分哈，当然面试的重要性咱们前面已经说过了哈，在竞争激烈的情况下，孩子如何脱颖而出，其实面试还是占有很大的一个比重的。那么当然呢，就是我们的团队老师也是非常看重这个部分，所以基本上孩子在申请季就是开始以前哈，基本上我们的预热阶段，我们基本上就是每周都要跟孩子进行见面。那么在申请季可能甚至见面会更多一些哈，甚至于每周2次来去帮助学生去这个提升面试的一个就是整体的一个呈现哈。那么当然呢，文书也是非常重要的，包括就是不论是家长的文书、学生的文书啊，当然重点还是学生的文书。那我们的老师都会从初步的就是如何去头脑风暴，帮助学生去创建一个比较有创造性的哈，而不是说千篇一律的这样的一个文书到最后我们会有专业的老师帮助学生进行这样的一个文书的一个这个润色哈，最后去定稿。所以呢，这2个环节呢，也是在申请工作当中非常重要的，算是我们的第2个阶段哈，比较重要的两个这个内容。
All right. And then in terms of these last stages here, you'll see stage 3 involves us collecting transcripts, making sure that the grades are going into the schools, but also goal setting for the school year. We also like to emphasize that we're developing stronger relationships with teachers because we will be needing math and English recommendations, as well as a recommendation from the principal and guidance counselor. Once we know that that is an expectation, we will request those documents, and then eventually we will finalize your child's school list so we know exactly which schools we'll be applying to and moving forward. At that point, once we have that confirmed school list, we are really moving forward together as a team. And that means doing interview preparation while also creating that interview schedule and having your family formally interview at a school. We'll be collecting all the necessary application materials, once again, to make sure that everything is complete as early as possible. This goes back to what I said before. If we start early, we get to finish early. If we start in August, maybe we'll be done around December, which means that we can go into December and January, not really having to worry as much. Now, of course, if we start later, then we make sure that everything is done before that January 15th timeline. In general, the goal is to make sure that your family is feeling confident, feeling excited, and happy with your choices. So by the time that admission decisions do come around, you're not only feeling a little bit nervous, but also excited about what school your child will get accepted to, what school your family will ultimately join.
那么因为时间的原因哈，我们就快速的说一下哈，这个就是接下来就是说第三个阶段、第4个阶段的一些内容哈。那么第3个阶段呢，那刚才提到了这个我们会就是确定学校的名单哈，开始整个的这个面试啊，整个的申请的一个工作。当然呢，这个期间虽然是就是说是申请这个期间这个 学生在学校的这个课业肯定也要保持好，也要跟学校的这个老师保持好很好的关系啊，因为最终还是要这些老师去写这些推荐信的。So Nicholas, because of the time, maybe I'll just quickly go over the stage 4 in Chinese.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 对，那么这个呢，可能是作为第3个阶段可能比较重要的一个内容。那么第4个阶段呢，基本上就是我们在这个后面就是确定好名单，然后呢，整个的这个申请过程当中的推进了哈，包括面试的这个培训哈，一直到正式面试之前，然后呢，提交所有的这个就是必要的这个申请的资料啊。然后，对，我们就学生就可以在充分的这个面试和辅导的这个流程以后呢，去很自信的去面试，去呈现他这个各方面的这个学术个人的这个性格和课外活动这样的一些这个资料哈。所以呢，就是说，这基本上我们可以把这个申请的阶段划分为4个阶段啊。当然呢，还是想要去这个强调的，就是说，我们如果早开始，那咱们的整个工作就可以说时间更充足，准备的更从容。那我们可能在12月份以前，可能基本上所有的工作基本上就能够结束了，而不是说要等到1月份学校的截止日期之前，还要再就是很紧张的做各项工作哈。所以早开始准备是非常非常有必要的。Okay, Nicholas.
Okay, and so in terms of numbers, we're not going to go through this. We'll be able to see this document at another time, but this is just our matriculation over the past 5 years in terms of some of those top schools. So these are nationally ranked, normally top 20 schools. You can see here that we've been very successful over the years. Horace Mann, a top school in New York, we've had 21 offers, which is truly amazing. You can see schools like Andover, which are highly competitive, ranked either 1 or 2, going back and forth between every single school year. We have offers to that school. So our families are able to work with us, and we're able to work with them and collaborate to get them into some of the top schools you will see all over America.
对，然后呢，这个是我们部分的一个学生就是录取的一个信息啊。当然，这个信息在我们官方网站也能看得到。这个大家也能对很多学校应该都是耳熟能详的哈。所以呢，我们也是非常期待哈，能够有机会跟就是新的家庭和学生的一起去努力，来帮助大家去实现这样的一个目标哈。因为时间的原因哈。Nicholas, I think because of the time, maybe we just have a little bit, pick 1 or 2 questions from the chat, and then we'll wrap this up because, I know you have another meeting later.
Perfect. So at this point, here we are at the Q&A. Do we have any questions that I'll be answering today?
Well, I think on the chat box, there's one question about typical acceptance rate for K-12 school. Maybe you wanted to answer that one?
Yeah, I think that goes back to what I had said earlier before in terms of those top 20 K through 12 private schools. If they are in the very top tier, the acceptance rate can be somewhere between 12 to maybe 15%. It's going to be a little bit on the lower end, just knowing that they do get a lot of applications. Very competitive schools, maybe not in the top tier, might have an acceptance rate of 20%, 20 to 25%. But as you can see here, these are very low acceptance rates, which is why we're making sure that we are working with your family to really craft the best application that we can. But yes, in general, the expectation is lower acceptance rates, higher selectivity, which just makes it more competitive in terms of our schools.
Okay, sure. Nicholas, if you need to leave, I'll wrap this up. I know like you have another meeting. I don't think you can delay that, but thank you. I'll just translate to the parents about your answer.
Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you.
Then, goodbye.
Well, thank you for your time, Nicholas. Bye-bye.
Of course. Goodbye.
Okay. 对，因为 Nicholas 老师他接下来还有另外一个活动哈，所以呢，他就因为我们的这个时间的原因哈，他就必须要离开。刚刚呢，也有家庭在群里在问说，基本上这个 K12的这个学校呢，它的这个录取率是什么样子的哈？刚才Nicholas 老师也讲了，这个其实取决于学校的这个竞争激烈程度，当然就是相对来说比较靠前，大家就是说很多家庭都是 想要试一下的啊，那么他的这个就是我们所谓的排名比较靠前的哈，那他可能有些学校甚至他录取率低于10%啊。那么当然就是相对来说，就是说竞争稍微的就是激烈程度没有那么高的，可能能达到12%到15%。那么再往后一些的，可能能达到大概是20%、25%这样子。这个完全其实是取决于学校的一个情况如果你们已经有目标学校，那么就是计划今年申请的，那可以跟我们团队的老师呢来去交流一下。那么我们一起，sorry，我们不好意思，我们一起去探讨一下哈，然后看一下孩子的情况，给你们做一个全面的一个评估哈。对，因为时间的原因呢，我也看到有很多家长有一些问题在这边哈，有一些我们可能在讲座的时候已经在分享过了但是呢，我觉得呢，每一个家庭每一个孩子情况都不一样，我觉得最好呢是说可以跟我们就是我们同时也有在群里在写这个发这个我们的联系方式哈，可以去跟我们的团队老师预约一个免费的一个初步的一个咨询和评估这些都是没有问题的。但的确是呢，这个新的申请季马上就前面我们也讲了，很多学校都已经开始了，那我们去提早的做这个准备是非常重要的哈，不要后面呢现在这个不确定，然后到后面10月份甚至11月份再来去准备呢，可能很多东西呢会相对来说比较仓促所以呢基本上呢这个就是我们今天的讲座想要跟大家分享的，也非常感谢大家的一个时间哈那么需要进一步去了解和沟通的家庭呢，那可以跟我们约这个时间来去交流，好吧？然后非常感谢大家的时间那我们今天就到这个讲座就到此为止，感谢大家的时间和参与。好的，拜拜。